Okay, we lost the connection.
Did you?
Just did.
All right, I just sent you to. Let's see.
I got dropped.
No dice. That was the
When
file.
you're ready, Bob.
It's like,
Well, they're not stuck in my inbox.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners. Today is Thursday, March 28, 2019. Time is 6:30 p.m. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you call the roll, please?
President Riley?
Here.
Vice President Janner? Absent. Commissioner Carlson?
Here.
Commissioner Egan? Absent. Commissioner Ensign?
Here.
Commissioner King? Absent. Commissioner Todd? Here.
We do have a quorum established, and Vice President Janner has asked to participate remotely.
He is out for one of the recognized reasons.
Is that one of the recognized reasons?
He's out for one of the recognized statutory reasons.
He's out of town on business.
Yeah.
there we go.
All right, move to allow remote meeting participation of Vice President Janner. He's out of town on business as allowed per section 7 of the Open Meeting Act.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Todd?
Yes.
Commissioner Ensign?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
President Riley?
Yes. We did.
Read out.
Hello.
Rich? Welcome. You're here with Commissioners Todd, King, Ensign, Carlson, and Mike Riley.
Good. Thank you.
Bridget, do we have anyone from the public signed up to speak?
We do not.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move to,
Are there any items that should be removed from the consent agenda?
move to accept consent agenda items 4.1 to 4.6.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Vice President Janner?
Yes.
Commissioner Todd?
Yes.
Commissioner Ensign?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
President Riley?
Yes. Next, we have unfinished business. We have none. Next,
Wait, we got to move to approve the consent agenda.
oh, I'm sorry.
Move to approve the consent agenda items 4.1 to 4.6. This is a voice vote.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, we're on to unfinished business. There is none. Next is new business and discussion items. And the first thing is the strategic plan overview of accomplishments.
Yes, President Riley, we included this in your packet. This is just our quarterly review. I'll entertain any questions at this time. We went through this at the Park and Recs Committee meeting, some slight changes, but nothing drastic. It's just that we do this every quarter to update the board. And then once you approve this at the next meeting in April, we'll then repost this to the website. There's a current one up there now. The slight changes, then the new one will get posted to the website.
Any questions or comments?
Good.
Next, we have the three-year plan overview.
Get you all over, please.
All right, we're going to see that okay? Commissioner Janner, did you receive the report?
The financial.
Yeah, I just replied to you maybe about 5 minutes ago. I received this and opening up on my left. I just speak here, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, so we can get started. This is part of our annual process. We update our three-year plan every year once we finish the 19 budget, which serves as the base for this plan. At the March 19th Finance Committee meeting, we did go through a high-level overview of the assumptions and the results of what was built into the plan here. So after this presentation, if we were ready to move forward, the next step would be approval of the plan at either, an upcoming meeting. So with that, let's jump right in. The presentation we're going to start with our challenges, address district growth, where we've been, and our challenges with that, our current position of this plan, and then go into just a high-level overview of the assumptions that were built into the revenues and expenditures for the plan. Take a look at our capital for the next 3 years with the summary, and then closing comments. So we are on the slide, Rich, I'll try and cue you. We are up to what our challenges are, and we wanted to start with this because built into this plan, and the reason we do 3-year plans is we try and do a term that's short term, not 5 to 10 years out, but also anticipate what's coming down the road. And as you'll see here, we do have several challenges that we're going to be facing. And the first one, which is large for us, is the phasing in of the new minimum wage requirements and managing compression issues related to that. So we know we're going to have some increased wages to meet the minimum wage requirements. There's going to be folks that are going to be butting up against that. So as we approach the 2020 budget, I'll go through the assumptions in here a little bit later. We'll be doing a much more detailed analysis by position of what the impacts of this will be.
Could you explain what you mean by compression issues?
So if the minimum wage is going to go up $1.75, it's going to be $10. So you have a new person, brand new, comes into the district, going to make $10 an hour, and you have someone with experience who's been in a position, a part-time position, who's currently at $10. So are we going to pay them both the same amount if one person? So that happens at every level. It will happen every year as we're increasing this. So we anticipate there are going to be costs related to that. The second bullet, again, it's going to be really relevant for current news as we see it today. And we want to ensure ensuring the flexibility in an evolving economic environment while continuing to fulfill our mission. Perfect example is on the federal level what could be coming our way with insurance. And anytime there's talk of insurance, as we talked about, the markets might get nervous. That alone could cause an increase in premiums in itself just based on the news and what's going on. So it's really important, and that's a challenge for us, that we look at our whole financial picture, our reserves, where we are, that we keep that in mind. You've heard this before, maintaining a qualified, motivated workforce, and we put in here hopefully loyal because that would be an absolute bonus. It's been hard enough for us to even attract and maintain not only part-time but full-time positions with all of the competition that we have and the economy being in such a good state. We try and do this through our compensation package, educational opportunities, education, and having a good culture here so people want to come and work here versus other places. A challenge specifically for part-time and seasonal staff, and you've heard this from Kevin in his department, it's just really challenging to find, hire, and retain part-time and seasonal staff. A challenge of funding our capital over the long term. We only have so much funds. We're divvied up. We know we have a challenge for that and what the needs are going to be going forward. And lastly, and this is every year, a lot of our facilities can be significantly impacted by weather, just by golf, the beach, the nature of the operation. Okay, staying current with technology. It's the backbone of everything we do here. If we don't have a good registration, support system, and the right security, it's just asking for trouble. So staying current with technology and investing dollars in that area of our operations will continue to be a challenge and a priority. And then lastly, continuing to play catch-up with our facilities inventory. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later. How are we going to address the community demands for programs and facilities that are near at capacity? It's not the first time you're going to hear. Brad has given a couple examples. I'll just repeat them. Here, our gymnastics program, where we have 4,800 participants, we still have a wait list of 623. Basketball, we have a wait list of 250. And in this facility, which has only been open a full year in 17, we already have 7 classes that we've had to move around because they're near or at capacity into the larger gym here, because the actual rooms that we're supposed to take care of all of these types of classes are too full. So it's a great success for us, but it's also a challenge. So district growth. Recently, we had the chance to meet with former Commissioner Ron Ori. We wanted to talk about the past and where we've come as a district as we're looking forward. Ron was on the board for 20 years. He's been through a lot of experiences, the ups and downs. And so this is just a summary of what he had conveyed to us and what he experienced in the district going back some time. So in the early 1990s, the district, our mission was not being fulfilled. Population was starting to grow. The district held the levy flat by design for 5 years. So that was very important as Ron was talking about the impacts of what that does by holding that flat. What happened is we started getting land rich because of the cash in lieu ordinance, so we started getting land, but we were land rich, cash poor, did not have money in the bank, and we were facility poor. We didn't have a lot of our own facilities, and in fact, now this is our first facility. We have relied on the school districts and leases to supply things, among parks and other things. There was a time where parks were not being developed in the system, and that staffing was not increasing over these years as population and the demand for services were increasing. And the district at that time was running in the red. And that, as we look forward and looking back at lessons from the past, is for this district, when we froze that levy, that was the impact it had at that time of where they were. In 1997, the district had made a decision to increase the levy and to optimize the levy to capture all the new growth that had come in. Now, they already missed the growth in those last years where they weren't including that in the PAV base for the levy. But in 97, they made that change. It still took a couple years after doing that before one new park was added. So funds were coming into the district. However, there wasn't the infrastructure with staff to move ahead forward with development of parks. So after 1997, things started to turn a little bit. But we still are catching up from the growth from that time in our facilities. Since 2010, a little more recent, our population in Naperville has increased by 6,000. And for us, as you all know, our participation and revenue numbers just continue to increase. In addition to the waiting list and our capacity here after just being open for a couple of years. Just to know a little bit about the population increasing, we know here that the category where it's really increasing a lot is from age 55 to 85. And those folks want opportunities to recreate and wellness. And that segment is expanding. So we thought it was really beneficial to get that perspective of kind of where we've been, we know where we are now, and as we're looking forward to where we're going. Okay, so I think as we were putting this plan together, it's take a look back at where we were, learn from the past, make a commitment to keep up with growth, and plan for future community needs. And what does that mean? It means maintaining the level of excellence that we have, programs, parks, facilities, staffing, our overall quality of what we produce, financial stability, sustainability, and public trust. And they're in no particular order, they're all just very important to us. Our position. So now I'm going to start it up here. I'm going to come down a little bit to our plan here, which is a career plan through 2021. Then we'll drill down a little bit further. So within this plan, we do anticipate balanced operating budgets. That means the current revenues will fund current expenditures. We will remain in a strong financial position with stable reserves, and we are prepared to meet our AAA bond rating through this plan and for the foreseeable future based on the estimates that are built into this plan. And then our district's capital plan, it continues to be diverse with different funding sources, which we are fortunate to have here. With we're going to talk about our capital plan over 10 years is over 78 million, 3 years, 37 million. So it's a lot to take care of. The district currently has over $200 million in capital assets throughout our system that, that includes land, but trails, equipment, parks, playgrounds, everything we take care of. So it's a lot to take care of. Getting into assumptions, and I first want to start out, figured I'd use this venue to give the whole board an update on our 2018 levy preliminary results. I shared information with the Finance Committee. So if you recall, we put our tax levy for this 19 budget year, we put it together November, and December is when you approve it. When we put that levy together, we put it based on estimates that we receive, that I received from the county, from the assessor's office, where they try and give us an idea what EAV is going to be. They give me new construction numbers, and then we try and come up with a levy, and then we ask for that, and then the county determines the rate. So we did all that in November. The preliminary results are, I estimated a 4% EAV for the growth in the district. It was actually 3.85%. And for the new construction, I estimated 70 million. And the new construction actually between DuPage and Will counties came in at 90 million. And we had 1.3 million in annexations that at the time I talked to the assessors, they couldn't give that number. So why is that significant? When we talk about optimizing the levy, it's because when I'm putting the information together, we don't know what those growth numbers are. We go on estimates. Because we optimized the levy, we were able to capture that extra $21 million in growth that we would not have if we did not do that. When I say optimizing the levy, on the other end, under the tax cap law, that the DuPage and Will County clerks know what that cap is, so whatever I'm maximizing, no matter what, it's not going to be over that cap. Okay, so just wanted to share that with all of you. So in our plan, again, these are broad assumptions. Now we're talking about for 2021, how am I estimating what the tax revenue is there, because it is really significant. Recall, it's 50% of our district budget. We rely on property taxes. So a 1.9% increase in CPI, that is a known number for 2020, and I'm using an estimate of 1.8% for 2021, and the 1.8 is a 10-year average. Eric Anderson and I went through some of these larger assumptions. I run by him just for another independent look at what I'm doing. EAV increases of 4%, and when you ask the assessor what's going to happen in 2 years, they can't give you a real thing. So on a conservative end, $50 million has been our average new construction over time. 90 this past year was huge. It's the largest we've had in the last 10 years. So when you put all that together, what that would give us from the levy is $12.3 million for operations, $6.1 million for capital, and I'll talk about a little more detail our special recreation levy. Sometimes we call it the WESDR levy, for the Western DuPage Special Rec Association, of $2.1 million. So the special rec levy, you recall, is a 4 cent, not in the tax cap, a 4 cent of EAV, 100 EAV. That we have the ability to levy for ADA-related capital items, and also for our membership and inclusion services in the Western DuPage Special Rec Association. We have been levying 4 cents for the past several years because of the Fort Hill facility and the monies we needed there. Our current capital plan for the next 2 years does not anticipate in there any large facilities such as this. We have improvements for renovations of parks that Eric has put together. So as you recall, we've done this all along. If we don't need 4 cents, we're not going to ask for 4 cents. So in this plan, we're asking for 2.6. Now again, these are all estimates, but this is our roadmap of where we think we're going to be. So the 2.6 levy would give us 2 cents that goes directly, and it's 2 cents every year, regardless of what EAD is, to the Western DuPage Special Rec Association, and that is for inclusion services. So we're asking for the 0.6 would be the $300,000 to $400,000 in ADA-related capital improvements. So what that means for a tax levy is close to $1 million less you would be asking for, and a $10 estimated, again, these are all estimates, but we would anticipate a $10 reduction in the average taxpayer's bill. It's currently $363, so somewhere around $353 in 2020. 2021, again, we would, including new construction of the CPI, and then even dropping that request down to 2.5 cents based on current estimates. We would have a slight increase, but still over the next couple of years, we expect taxes to be lower than they are this year. If something were to change and we were doing something different with a large capital investment, we would be revisiting these estimates when we're putting together the annual budgets.
So if I recall correctly, 2020, the impact of the increase in the minimum wage is not that much, but starting in 2021 is when
Right,
it starts.
and actually, we're going to get to that in 2 slides, so hold that thought, and it just compounds every year after
Right.
that.
So I have a question as well too, for the ADA improvements, is it just for the participants or is it for the spectators as well too? Is there a way for some of that?
It's facility based.
Well, it's the playground.
Participants,
Okay.
employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just in general, now we get to some of our next largest revenue source is charges for services. And we just did an average of a 1.5% increase, which is fairly typical for a model like this for both 20 and 21. On the golf side, for both courses, $1 increase in green fees in 2020 and $1 increase in cart fees for 2021 is also planned for. Sales, a 1.5% average increase. And then we have some brand new revenues, and that would be for the Naperville Park development we're going to be working on, and about $33,000 for the synthetic turf field rentals and light fees, and that's for a quarter of a year. We also are going to have some rental fees for Southwest Community Park for the pavilion and the new cricket pitch going in. 2021, on top of the 33, we'll get an additional $58,000, and that is for a full year field rentals and lights. We've been talking about this, we will continue to talk about it, celebrating this until we actually pay it off in December of 19. The golf debt will be gone. So we can anticipate in 20 and 21 that there will be $1 million transfer coming from golf operations that will go into capital improvements fund for district-wide improvements. So our majority of our expenses were held. Okay, so the majority of our expenses were held to the 2019 budgeted amounts, and that means in some plans there might be an inflation factor that's put across the board, and we did not do that. We looked at individual line items such, I think of as fuel and fertilizer and some of those commodities where we're increasing more than just keeping it flat to the 19 amount. For compensation, we do have a compensation pool. We included 3% for 20 and 21 and 2% for the part-time seasonal wage line items. We have new dollars included in this plan. We were going to talk about this in much more detail in the 2020 budget. For labor and supplies for two new parks coming on board, Southwest Community Park and also the 95th Street Community Plaza. Those are both hitting our South operation budgets, and in this plan we have as placeholders, we're coming with 2 new full-time positions in the parks divisions for that. And there will also be some additional seasonal labor needed and some trade labor in order to maintain those 2 facilities. Like I said, we have placeholders in here now, but we'll be coming to you with a lot more data and metrics. And I know Kevin and his team, even for this, we're ahead of the game, have spreadsheets of hours that are going to be needed to maintain the 2 facilities going forward. Minimum wage increases, Mike, here's what we're talking about. We're estimating, these are high-level estimates. We have to get into each department and look at each position and people to really get a handle on this, and we're still gonna probably be estimating some things. But for this purpose, we're estimating $54,000 in 2020, $119,000 in 2021. For health insurance premiums, we are really close to getting our rates, but we're not there yet. In a plan like this, we've typically done 5 to 7% as a high-end placeholder. We do not expect our increases to come in that high, even close. So when we have that information, Kate will be sharing that with you. As far as our IMRF retirement rates, we are currently at 7.05% for this year. We're getting estimates of 8.03 in 2020 and 8.53 in 2021. And then just for kind of a gut check, our rate continues to be pretty significantly under the statewide rate of 11.84%.
How does that happen? How are we below the state rate?
It's part of it is census. What you've done with increases, we have the ability a little bit that we have unfortunately folks that take refunds back. So we're actually putting in a little bit more for them every year. We can't get that money back, and we're just in good shape. We've managed it well, and those are our averages. We're not doing any ERI programs. A lot of places have done that, early retirement incentives. Things like that will cost more money through the rates. As far as our capital plan, you've seen the 10-year plan. This is just broken down 3 years, so I know Eric is presenting our most recent plan. So we have $37 million in the queue over the next 3 years. And up and above that, over the next 3 years, we'll be making debt payments out of the capital fund for debt certificates of $2.6 million, and about $800,000 this one time in 2020, 2021, we'll be doing in total transfer out to pay for debt service payments for the 2018 bonds. You recall we had a big discussion about this, that we don't have enough debt service extension base for those bonds for the first 2 years, and we would be paying that out of the capital fund. So that's programmed in this plan. And then just as another reminder, 3 major projects are included in the plan, and that is the expansion of the room upstairs in this facility, and then the 95th Street Community Plaza, and the development of Southwest Community Park. So, in summary, we think this plan enables the district to fulfill its mission. We anticipate the reserves will remain strong and in compliance with our policy. Our programs initiatives are supported by stable revenue sources. We will continue to evaluate program fees, as always. And in 2018, our AAA bond rating was reconfirmed, and that was the 10th year for that, with a strong outlook, and we've never gone below a strong outlook. And we are prepared to maintain that for the foreseeable future.
Questions, Commissioner Todd? Commissioner King?
No, it's a great job on AAA bond rating. It's fantastic.
No, I have my questions answered. Yeah. Good. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the 95th Street Community Plaza development.
Yes, there are 2 construction bid packages for this project. The first bid group was released earlier in the month, and we had a bid opening today. It mostly involved earthwork and infrastructure installation. Our estimate for the project was about $400,000. And the low apparent bid came in about $380,000 was the base bid. We had an ad alternate in that bid to actually take, instead of taking the excess material off-site and putting it into a dump. What would it be, because we needed extra soil for Southwest Community Park to build a fitness hill and the sled hill, what would be the savings to take it to Southwest Community Park, which, since we're doing both projects this summer, and that would be about $50,000. So that would lower the bid down to about $320,000. I intend to bring a contract for that bid group 1 to the board for consideration at the April 11th meeting. Bid group 2 will go out to bid in April, and contracts will be ready for consideration in May. I just want to give you an update on that. Also, as it relates to the 95th Street Community Plaza, I just want to mention we're also procuring site furnishings and equipment through purchasing networks. That's through a competitive bid scenario as we purchase other products and equipment through those types of networks. But you'll be seeing contracts within the next few months regarding the project to buy equipment and materials for this project. Also, for this project being new and just south of the 95th Street Library, we'll need a whole new electric service. So like any new project, what the city calls the facility infrastructure charge, we will be receiving a letter from the city in about May, and we'll be presenting that to the board for consideration and approval, but that's needed to provide the electric service for the restroom, splash pad, and other things associated with the project. And then lastly, as it relates to this item, there will be a testing service contract for, this is through a professional service provider, so we send out RFPs to qualified firms, and we will be getting proposals back for consideration. But this is for soils testing, concrete testing, steel testing, anything related to that project. So you'll be seeing a contract for that soon as well, probably in the next month or two. So that's that on that item.
Questions? Vice President Janner, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, next is the Fort Hill Activity Center studio expansion.
So an update on this project. Earlier in the year, the park board approved 3 contracts, and we broke it into multiple trade packages, just like when we built this facility. 3 contracts the board previously approved was precast concrete, structural steel, and glazing. We had the second bid group, which went out to bid, and we had an opening on March 20th, and that was for 11 packages. We met with the project team after the bid opening. We identified that 8 of the 11 packages are ready for contract approval. So you'll be seeing memos and contracts for presentation in April for your consideration. There's 3 packages that were over budget, and we are going to work with the construction manager, do the scope review, most likely reject the bids, repackage them, and put them back out to bid. The 3 packages are not urgent. As you know, you've already approved the precast concrete, steel, and glazing. Those were the urgent packages. So we have time, but we just want to give you an update on the process and next steps as it relates to procuring contracts and work associated with the studio expansion project. Also, just want to mention there will be furniture and equipment related to the project. We will also be pursuing purchasing networks, so you see separate contracts for that, and also testing services. So you see contracts for that as well.
Questions? Okay, next is the Naperville Park site license agreement amendment.
So this pertains to the existing cell tower site located at Naperville Park and was presented at the March 15th Parks and Rec Committee. And essentially there was just a quick update. A company by the name of General Dynamics reached out to the Naperville Park District on behalf of AT&T. They requested the ability to place a small generator within the utility area of the cell tower site, which is already there at Naperville Park. This is something that was driven by a new mandate to provide emergency usage during any large-scale catastrophe or event, and it's to help first responders. This would require a small concrete pad of 4 by 10 feet, so very small in size. We discussed it from a recreation and parks perspective as far as any impacts to the site at the Parks and Rec Committee meeting. We identified the possible concern of the diesel testing because it would be a diesel type generator, and they will work with us in the license that would have to be amended from an existing license that we have in place with AT&T, that they would work with us on the hours of operation. So it might be late evenings, early mornings, so it's not causing any impact to their patrons. We also discussed with the Parks and Rec Committee the idea instead of diesel, maybe natural gas, propane and other types of alternatives. They said they prefer diesel because they don't have to dig into the ground for all the infrastructure in for gas, but we could still call it and discuss that with them, but they felt that was the best approach for that type of system. And then this to place this new generator on site, and we talked to them a little bit about comps and what they've been paying other organizations to place in these small generators that are needed. They said it's about $100 a month increase to our lease rate. So we get $100 more a month. So right now, per month for the existing agreement, we get $2,312, and that would get bumped up from $2,412. So I just wanted to present this to the entire board for consideration, and then if there's an interest to proceed, we'll have an ordinance for approval at the April 11th meeting.
Rich, if you have any questions, just speak right up.
You got it. Okay, thanks much.
Next, we'll go on to Southwest Community Park Site Development Testing Services contract.
Yeah, so this is essentially like I was explaining as it relates to the 95th Street Community Plaza project and the Fort Hill Activity Center Studio Expansion project. Same thing here. We sent out requests for proposals to qualified testing service firms, and we intend to bring a contract to the board for consideration as it relates to Southwest Community Park and that project in April for consideration.
Next is the William Friedrich Memorial Park Dynamic Sign Installation.
So this is a project that's in our 2019 capital budget as well. We put projects out to bid. We received 5 bids. The low bid for this project came in at $31,604 with an alternate to go with a sign resolution very similar that we have at Fort Hill Activity Center here. That would be another $1,329. In total, we figured an allowance for this project about $75,000, so we're well within budget. The reason why we set that number the way we did is because we looked at, when we were forming the budgets last fall, we were looking at we may have to do additional electrical upgrades to the system that's there now that runs to William Frederick Memorial Park. And through discovery and more work this spring, we realized that would not be needed, so there's considerable savings there, or would be in our capital budget. But we intend to bring a contract to the board for consideration at the April meeting. Just on a quick side note, the company that is the low apparent bidder is the same company that, through a bid scenario, that won the project to install our sign that we have right out here, our dynamic sign that we have at Fort Hill. So we're very familiar with this company, and we know they will be good.
And where is that located?
It's along Washington Street. So as you know, Knott Park used to come down Washington on the other side.
Replacing the existing sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the existing sign is a static sign, and this will help us in efficiency for presenting more information and more efficiently presenting information as it relates to participant programs and activities. And it will allow our staff a much easier basis to change the content, where now someone has to go out there and change the sign, but there they can just on a computer type it up and hit enter, and it'll just show up. So it's a huge improvement, and we found that benefit when we just got this sign in Fort Hill a couple years ago.
Thank you. Next is the earthquake resolution.
Yes, so this is a resolution that is presented, actually the last couple of years has been presented to the board for consideration. And just to read off of a memo that's planned to be presented to the board at the April 11th, 2019 meeting. The Naperville Park District is participating in Naperville's 3rd annual Earth Week. Earth Week was established to recognize and promote environmental activities happening in Naperville from Earth Day to Arbor Day. This initiative is a collaborative effort with events and volunteer projects hosted by community groups. This resolution that will be presented to the board for consideration at the April 11th meeting reinforces the district's commitment to supporting environmental stewardship and is consistent with our environmental education, stewardship, and sustainability, which is one of our core values. So just an update that you'll be seeing that resolution at April 11th.
Okay. The next is surplus items.
Yes, I wanted to let the board know we will be bringing for approval at the April board meeting several items that are coming from both golf courses and some furniture coming from the rec department. Some of the items from golf are going to be the 2 range ball dispensers. Some of you may be familiar that we went away from the tokens that were becoming problematic, and now they have their own card reader so that they don't have, so that the participant does not have to come into the office, the pro shop to buy a bucket of range balls. Tokens keep showing up. We're going to put a sunset on those, probably late summer, and then move forward. Otherwise, we will be purchasing 2 new 88 carts, single rider carts, so we're retiring the 2 old ones, as well as some of the televisions that were damaged by an electrical surge from the storm in 2018. Oh, and one caveat I wanted to let the board know. Through yesterday, in fact, our gov deals, we brought in $34,826. Very good one.
Is that the online store?
Yeah, kind of.
So, the TVs that were recycled, those were damaged from the storm?
Yeah, they took electric surge, yes. We had them evaluated for potential repairments with electronic circuit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to.
So, okay, so now when we put in new TVs, are we doing something to prevent, running surge projectors to help us?
We do have surge protection both in the main boxes and locally for each TV. However, this came from what we believe was a major electric strike that was on the course, and not only took out these televisions, but also took out the controls for the irrigation as well. So we do have protections in place, just unfortunately, it's not 100%.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, move on to department updates. Start with administration.
I have quite a thing. 2019 Earth Day benefit dinner is sent out an invite today, but it conflicts with our April 25th meeting. So the board wants to discuss. I don't know who wants to attend. Last year I know Mike Riley and some staff from recreation attended, but we can discuss moving a date.
Are there any commissioners that would be interested in going?
Who's hosting this?
The Conservation Foundation, 5 to 9.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of strong interest, so I said we stay the course of our meeting. Is that it? Next, finance?
Yep, well. we're
There you go.
gonna review
Any questions?
And we're gonna start probably in the next month or so, guys, working on the 2020 budget in a serious way. And then, just a note for Paderma, just recently attended the Paderma Finance Committee meeting, and I drew the short straw, so I'll be chairing that committee. Somebody was going forward, so Katie and I are cornering the market on Paderma with her and healthcare and.
That's good.
That's it.
Okay, turn it over to human resources.
I'm happy that the weather is finally changing, because I think that this winter really impacted people's behavior. It's been a really rough couple months for a time of the year that should have been a little bit more of a downtime. At this point in time, we are implementing our new background check process. Cindy Bittmeier and my team has started that. During our 2019 budget presentation, I talked about we're going to look at a more in-depth process for this year, and that is underway. We are in a constant state of recruiting, but at this point in time, we're focusing on a full-time graphic designer position. We start first round of interviews next week. And we have a handful of parking. There's 3 positions we're working on, and the beach. And I'm happy to say that we have an individual that is retired and has interviewed for the position as a lifeguard and will be joining our staff. So our efforts to really look at other areas have been effective. We also had, I was able to get us into Plainfield North High School. Actually, part of our district is in District 202, so they were receptive to that, and I also really got my kids on there. But we had a really good turnout there, one of the highest turnouts of any of the high schools that we had the opportunity to visit and be on site with, so we're happy to see that as well. Ribfest, that planning is underway as well. You will see in their promotional materials that they have a little tagline, the last nights at Knock, so they are promoting the fact that the event will be moving. Other than that, I don't know where, but just so you're aware that that marketing is going to be the focus. As far as efficiencies and electronic stuff goes, we've been working with Omar quite a bit on a couple different things. We have been tracking in a system things that don't go to Paderma, that don't turn into a claim. But a better way to actually track that information is we're actually using the 311.com system. So kind of getting a twofer out of a system that we're going to have to really monitor those things that don't develop into claims, but things that we need to track and and possibly make some changes with. And also, with the fact that we've grown quite a bit and can't be everywhere all the time, we are looking at implementing an e-form similar to some of the inspections that Parks does, and we have a couple of little areas that we use these forms to allow our supervisors to do some on-site, real quick, basic performance discussion around a situation. It would be very limited. We're looking at that little drop-down menu for things largely due to attendance. But then that way those things can be addressed promptly and hopefully that behaviorally directed. So trying to use a handful of things to kind of keep us moving along and more efficient.
Segue two, I take.
I know, right? I mean, we're just gonna do this. I'm gonna have to pull this off somehow for Sam. Earlier this year, the focus was primarily on the email security, and you guys saw a lot of the changes that we did on that. Security is still going to continue to be a focus. Like, that's never going to change. But right now is pretty much our project time. Believe it or not, in the next couple of months, our workload typically consists of getting ready for the season. All the staff that we bring in on board, whether it be golf, park police, all that, we support them with the software and hardware. We're working with our software manufacturers to do some migrations to newer software, like our point of sale workstations. On Sunday, March 16th, we migrated our largest file share server. That thing was kicking for a couple years, and now we have an upgraded, larger space. And as Katie alluded to, early this year, we implemented something called e-form pilots. And what that does is it allows us to digitize forms, and we've slowly started to bring it on board to situations where we feel it's a good fit. One of those is, for example, vehicle inspections that we as staff have to do for our vehicles and then send it to Kevin's staff. So now, before what was a process of let's print out this form, fill it out, scan it back to your email, and forward it to the right person, is now you fill it out on a tablet, on a phone, on your computer, and it goes, once it's completed, directly to that person. We've been doing that with some separation forms too. That was even more tedious, and so far we've saved at least 300 sheets of paper just from doing that. We only see that expanding and being a little, friendlier for staff and more efficient. And that's all I got, so I really didn't give you a good transition.
So I've got two quick things, and actually Katie stole a little bit of my thunder for the first one, but I'll give you a little bit more detail. So we are starting the first round of graphic designer interviews next week. We've got over 150 resumes in for the position, which is a lot, right? A lot of good candidates. We are bringing in 4 people for an in-person interview for our first round. So we'll see how that goes. And then secondly, not surprising, this is the time of year when we're really ramping up our marketing efforts for 2019, doing a lot as far as supporting preseason sales for beach memberships, doing a lot with golf and memberships and all things that they have going on right now, the online store, and that continues to perpetuate, and it's pretty exciting. For summer camps, with our registration in progress, just a lot of supportive kinds of things that we're doing with regard to marketing. And to kind of echo a little bit what Katie was saying as far as the recruiting is concerned, we put a whole lot more marketing muscle behind the recruiting process this year. And I think that we've seen some good benefit from it. But that was kind of something starting out 2019. We didn't necessarily anticipate from a marketing workload perspective. It's just something that really evolved, but it's worked really well.
Well, I think, just looking at the situation with the lifeguards, I think that was something that was really planned, but really became a great joint effort. So, and since you did mention golf, now we can segue to golf.
Perfect.
Not just have a dead end like
Perfect segue. We'll start with parks. On the park side, we're very, very busy getting all of our athletic fields ready. It was a nice day like today saw. We had a lot of teams going out today to practice on our fields. So we're lining out our soccer and lacrosse fields. We're starting to drag our fields as well. We're delivering equipment boxes to all diamonds, so that's what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Little League open season, first weekend of April, so it's right around the corner. And we're getting all of our spring mowing equipment ready. It's just going to pop one of these days. The first couple of weeks April, we'll be out there very, very busy. On the golf side of business, as you know, the early part of March wasn't very favorable for us. But however, the last couple of weeks was, with the exception of a couple of days. So we were coming back strong, and without counting today, which I know was very good at both courses, we've had just under 880 rounds for the last 2 weeks. We are at 28 members for the annual membership. It was put in this, we took in just under 60,000. The revenue target for that for the year is 105. We still have through the end of the weekend. We do have a lot of people that come in the last minute. So we're planning on hitting that target. And beyond that, merchandise sales are strong. And just look up above and hope the weather stay good. And that's it. Thank you.
Planning anything?
Yes, as mentioned earlier, the capital improvements are moving along. Looking at the 95th Street Community Plaza, as you may know, the groundbreaking event slated for 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 22nd. Southwest Community Park, the groundbreaking event slated for Wednesday, June 19th at 4:30 p.m. at the site. And I have one more item as it relates to the planning department update. I actually have a handout that goes along with it, which will help me in explaining.
Is it aerial view?
It's black and white.
Remember those sheets we saved earlier?
Yeah, when are you gonna get around it?
Well, this one was actually produced by working in collaboration with Community Unit School District 203. And just an update, some information I want to share with you. As we all know, last fall, through an IGA lease, the School District 203 will be renovating the girls' softball field at Knock Park starting this summer, and with the intent to be ready for the spring 2020 softball season. When the school district did this project earlier in the year, there was a couple ideas that we as staff in the park district and the school district had about improving the site. And as you see there in that site layout plan, this was developed by the school district's architect. There's a circle drive that ends just to the north of the existing parking lot at the Knock Park Central Maintenance Facility. And there's also, if you take that up, that where that circle drive is, you take that to the north, you see some ADA pathways, and they'll actually continue on and widening the pathway to 10 feet wide and flattening out the slope so it's ADA accessible, taking that all the way to Hillside Road. And so we asked the school district if they could add these as alternates in their project when they put out the bid earlier in the year, and they did do that. And but they also wanted to bring the base bid to their board for approval, which they did, and their school board approved the development of the softball field, which they'll construct and pay for as part of the IGA lease. But in this case, in the alternates, we wanted to present it to our respective boards. So we're going first, and the school district will go in April. The idea of sharing in the cost, because we looked at the circle drive and having discussions with Brad and the recreation department and serving all of Knock Park, the circle drives not only for the ball field, but all of the site, and then the ADA improvements. So we discussed the idea of what if we just did a 50-50 split, and to give you a little background on the prices we received from the bid, the alternates, or I should say the low bid contractor that the school board awarded the contract to had the two alternates for these improvements, and it's about $200,000. But we looked on the tabulations, we noticed some of the other bidders, which are higher, they had a lower cost. But being the low bidder and working with Dirk and the legal side and working on numerous projects, we suggested to the school to check with their legal and their leadership if they can ask the low bid contractor if they're willing to lower their alternate pricing. And the response to that is yes, we can. And they decided, because they want to get it to work, and they decided to lower it by $49,000. So it went from $200,000 to $151,000 to add these alternate improvements. And if we did a 50-50 split, it would come out to $75,500 per park district, for the school district. So with that being said, I want to present that to see if there's a consensus from the board tonight. And if there is, we'll let the school district know, and if not, same thing. But if there is an interest, then the school district will then present this to staff, and present this to their board, and if there's a consensus by their board. And then the next step would be an amendment to the IGA lease that was executed last fall to include these items. So when they build this project this summer, they'll also, if there's an interest received, will build a circle drive and the ADA panels.
What would this do for our residents viewed through the prism of our mission?
What would it do?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be huge. What it is right now, when a resident is coming to the site, and let's say all the parking's, it's full and all the parkings are stalled or full, or if I want to drop off my child, I don't have to drop them off along West Street or Martin Avenue. I can drive up in the parking lot, have a nice circle drive, have a drop off. Very similar, we had to drop off here at Fort Hill Activity Center and drop them off where my children or patrons can utilize the site. So it is a huge improvement. It's something we were thinking about for a while. We saw this as an opportunity for consideration. And then obviously the ADA improvements are just something that's part of our transition plan that we plan on doing in the future anyways. If we could have a contractor there already doing work, it makes complete sense. And ultimately on the Park District side, if there's an interest to proceed, we can also seek WDSRI special rec fund reimbursements for these improvements as it relates to the Park District portion. So it makes sense from a staff perspective, but we want to present it to you as a board consideration.
Has Vice President Janner seen this?
Has he seen this?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No, this is just the amendment.
That's Commissioner King, your earlier question.
Yeah.
This is an example of where it's for all of the public.
Right.
Of course, it's not just the participants. And those ADA paths that are here, it's an opportunity to save half the cost. You're going to need them for the improvements that are coming anyway. You have to get ADA accessibility to all those fields. And the sidewalk along West Street is not going to be sufficient by itself. So it's a chance to save on half of what you're going to need to put it in.
Yeah, but that's great.
Question, comments, support, opposition? Bill?
The ADA pass that's going to be built to our spec. Oh,
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and the same thing with the circle drive. We spent a lot of time with that and conversation with Kevin and his staff. Like the center area would have like old grow, like native grasses. It says we'll be maintained, it'll be on our property. So we had a lot of input in the design phase.
I definitely support it, just as someone who's gone to the barn my whole life, and you look for a spot there, and then you have 3 cars behind you, and everyone is going every which way. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's really going to improve the traffic flow and make it safer.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think in particular the idea of the circle drive makes a whole lot of sense to be able to drop off kids and I think we're actually saving a lot of taxpayer money by partnering.
Vice President Janner, do you have any comments? I know you can't see what's being talked about.
Yeah, I think it's been for me.
Okay. Any opposition? Yes, support. Okay, is there a recreation update?
Yes. So I will be reading that on behalf of Brad Wilson. The Recreation Department continues to prepare for the upcoming spring and summer seasons. In addition to receiving applications and conducting interviews for the Centennial Beach lifeguard positions, staff has been busy filling positions associated with spring sports, Centennial Grill and Riverwalk Cafe operations, summer day camps, and more. The majority of summer recreation positions are expected to be filled during the month of April. The several orientations and trainings will take place in May. As of mid-March, 38 lifeguards had interviewed and accepted positions, and another 10 were scheduled for interviews, and 16 other lifeguards applications have been received. The goal is to begin the season with a minimum of 50 guards who successfully completed training. Guards who are currently in the area have also begun conditioning for the season through Sunday swim sessions at Naperville North High School. In addition to hiring guards for the 2019 season, the district is also introducing a new program this summer titled Junior Lifeguard. Youth ages 10 and 14 will learn the basics of lifeguarding, including first aid, CPR, in-water rescue techniques, and much more. After completing a training, participants will have the opportunity to obtain hands-on experience by volunteering at the beach as a shadow lifeguard, shadowing our Centennial Beach lifeguard team. The program is intended to introduce youth to the roles of responsibilities of lifeguarding and assist with developing the next generation of Centennial Beach lifeguards. On April 6th and May 4th, the Fort Hill Activity Center will introduce special needs basketball open gyms. Similar to the special needs nights offered at Centennial Beach each summer, the open gyms are designed to create an environment that is more conducive for participants with special needs. The district will begin by offering 2 designated times this spring and will look to add future dates based on the interests of participants. And lastly, the Recreation Department is preparing to host a number of special events and programs this spring. Examples of upcoming events and programs include wildflower walks at Naperville Park, gardening workshops, egg hunts, the Earth Day Fair, and many activities associated with Earthquake Naperville and wonderful World of Wheels. We look forward to the weather improving this spring and helping residents get outdoors to our various programs and events.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is future meetings. We have a regular meeting with the Board of Park Commissioners April 11th, 2019, 7 p.m. Municipal Center, City Council Chambers, followed by a regular meeting with the Board of Park Commissioners April 25th, 6:30 p.m. here at the Fort Hill Activity Center. The next item on our agenda is executive session. Is going to see if we go into executive session.
Yeah, it's the city annual review of minutes, and so, and the recommendation from the staff is to release them. And unless somebody wants to talk about why we should not release them, you can take the next action if you want to go into executive session.
I move to adjourn executive session.
Nope.
No.
We can skip it, sounds like.
Oh, there's no need, is determined to adjourn to executive session for discussion. I move that the written and approved August 10th and August 24th, 2017 executive session minutes be released.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
President Ryder.
Yes. Next item is adjournment.
Move to adjourn March 28th, regular meeting.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.